Okay. Hey, Trillia. I love you, baby. Tonight's wisdom is about the Sabbath, about resting. It's very important whether you work out physically or you're just working to earn your wages or whatnot. Um, Whatever you're doing, it's important to always remember that rest is important. And with rest comes one of the most important things is also maintaining the commandments of God, like we were talking about. I kind of breezed over it on your commandments, but one of the ones that are kind of like, oh, what does it mean to maintain the Sabbath day, the day of rest? So we look to the wisdom that we can gather from the Bible always. This is actually the first day we start reading from the Bible because it occurs very early in the Bible, the explanation of why. But so in the end of Ecclesiastes, Solomon pretty much says, um, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter, right? Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So, with keeping the commandments, the unsaid one of, like, not really unsaid, but kind of important and misunderstood sometimes is the Sabbath. So, if we look from all the way back to the beginning, God tells us that the Sabbath is a special part of the law, um, especially when it's blessed and sanctified. And in the Ten Commandments, after Genesis, in Exodus, he explains how it's actually a hallowed day, and it continues to be an important part of his covenant between us and him. Also, it continues a lot to talk about the Sabbath when it comes to when the prophet Ezekiel talks about how it sanctifies us. It gets us a little bit closer and holier. Like when you sleep and you're resting, and your body is not dealing with the stresses of earth, that which includes sin, you're actually closer and sanctified to God because you're resting. So when you're celebrating the Sabbath or you're worshiping Him, it's the same concept because you're not laboring, you're not doing anything else. You're just using your spirit and uplifting your energy and rejoicing in Him. It also talks about in Luke when Jesus actually rested to finish what he needed to do and to take back death. Like Jesus actually rested from his works as well. Um, so that's how we're going to start reading the Bible, is on the subject of how powerful rest could be, and then in Genesis, as it's written in this version of the Bible, reminds you it's hard for me to impart on you the importance of this Bible is translated. So if someone says like, oh well, that doesn't sound right, or that's crazy story, you got to remember like they're translating from stories that have been passed down religiously, not no hints at the pretense, but from generation to generation to be put into an English conceptual version for us for me to read to you. But Genesis 1:1, verse by verse, girl. So in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of the God was hovering over the waters. So the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters is, in essence, like the Creator himself wasn't there, but the Holy Ghost was hovering over the waters of what he just was now witnessing. God said, let there be light, and there was light. And saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness, and called the light day, and the day darkness, and he called the night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. And God said, let there be a value between the waters to separate the water from water. So God made the value separate the water under the vaults from the water above it. And it was so. And God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and gathered the water called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit and seed in it, according to the various kinds, and and it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kinds, seeds bearing fruit with seeds according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning on the third day. And God said, let there be light in the vaults of the skies to appear, separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark scarce times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vaults of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser night to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, let the waters teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and the evening, and living things with the waters teems that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, and be fruitful, and increased in numbers, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning on the fifth day. We're getting there. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. So as the process of creation is continuing, God's just making everything. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kind, and the livestock according to their kind, and all the creatures that moved along the ground according to their kinds, and God saw it was good. Then God said, let us, mankind, make our image and our likeness. I'm going to repeat this part. God then said, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and over the livestock, and all the wild animals, and all over the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image, and in the image of God created them. Male and female created them. God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over all living creatures that move on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it is so. God saw that all he had made, and it was very good. And then there was evening, and there was morning on the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were complete, and all their vast array. So once mankind was on earth, and everything was done, now time starts. Because God, by the seventh day, had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on he rested from all his works of creating that he had been done. So remember, even God rested. So if he rests, just believe that your little human body needs a lot of rest. Because if the Big Bang took billions of years of how humans calculate time to generate the earth, after millions of years of things happening, it was all calculated and designed to do that. And the way that we fathom time is nowhere how God fathoms time. And so by the time man had the ability to receive the breath of life from God, which goes into what we're going to talk about next, the story of Adam and Eve, which is also the story of love, first love, you'll see that with the breath of life, the men that we are today, mankind today, changes. But remember the Sabbath, so even if you're getting too busy, it's okay to rest and recharge your batteries, girl. I love you.